Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I've got my little tray table here and some nail polish. I'm going to answer the questions that you sent in for my Q&A session, and I'll be painting my nails at the same time so that you have something to look at while I'm answering those questions. Now this will be a two-part series. So part one of this video will be focused on all of the questions that came in related to my personal background, my family, my husband, my job, that sort of thing. Then there were a bunch of questions related to YouTube, and then also there were questions related to finances, saving, and investing. So I'll cover those three groups today, and then in part two of the Q&A session in a separate video, I will go through all of the questions that I received related to luxury and shopping, because there were so many questions there, and I couldn't fit it all into one video without boring you guys. I think you would have gotten sick of my voice halfway through, so I've decided to split them up. And in part two, there will be a lot of eye candy. I'll be showing you some goodies in my bags and all of that. But for this part, since it's a lot of personal and finance and YouTube related questions, I thought, why don't I just paint my nails? So I've just put on the base coat from Essie. You guys know, if you've been here before, that I do gravitate towards Essie. And then I'll be using this color today. It's called Berry Naughty. It's kind of a fun fallish vibe color. And then this one is the top coat. It's the gel coat from Chanel that my friend gifted to me. And here I have my little egg cream. I just kind of smear this all over my hands and also on my cuticles before I get started, because you don't want dry, brittle nails. Now, I did get a lot of questions about whether or not my nails were gel manicure or any kind of fake nails or anything in particular, and my answer is very simple. These are my natural nails. I don't do anything to them other than just clip and file. I don't cut my cuticles because that skeeves me out. Maybe I'll push them back a little bit, but this is pretty much just how my nails are. And like I said, I already did the base coat. So let me see if I can answer your questions while painting my nails. I've never done this before, so please bear with me. But let's just jump right into it. So one of the questions I received was, what is your cultural background? I am Korean. I'm Korean American, born and raised in the US, but my family is from South Korea. What's your job? I work in corporate human resources. What's a typical day in your life? I don't know that I have a typical day or anyone has a typical day right now, because it's sort of a weird, it's a weird time in the world, and our routines have been broken up. But for now, I will say that I wake up around 6:30. I get my kids' breakfast set up. I've got two little ones. They're not that little, actually. And they've started going back to school. Woohoo! So I fix their lunches, get them ready to go, and then I walk them to school, because school is within walking distance from where we live, which is really convenient. And then I come back and I work. And I am on a 4-day schedule, so I have that extra day off to kind of do things for me, and a lot of times I'm doing YouTube related things on that day. Okay, how do you manage to keep everything running so smoothly without burning out? I do burn out. I definitely burn out. I guess I don't show that on my channel here, but I am a bit of a workaholic when it comes to really anything. And I don't rest very much, which is probably not good. So I try to just find little ways to decompress, whether it's, when I'm drinking my tea in the evening, or I take an extra long shower. It's the busy life like everyone, right? Especially living in the center of Manhattan. It's hustle bustle all the time. And I think we just all have to be really conscious, wherever you live, about making time for yourself. So here I've sort of like butchered this side here, but it's okay, because I'll just use a Q-tip later and dip it in nail polish remover, and then it'll come right off. So I'll wait until that dries. Next question, how do you balance work, YouTube, family, and keep your nails always on point? Thank you for saying that. My nails are not always on point, but I do enjoy painting my nails. It is a very relaxing activity for me, as you can tell. And it's sort of like, I think I mentioned this before, when I don't have my nails painted, I feel a little bit incomplete, like I'm naked almost. I've heard people say that about like eyeliner or lipstick. You feel like you're naked when you're not wearing it. That's how I feel about my nails, and I've been that way since high school. Juggling, everyone's juggling, right? I'm not the only one. We're all juggling a lot. I have to thank my husband because he is such an equal 50-50 partner in everything that we do, in raising our children, in taking care of household chores. He's really amazing, so I think that I have to give him a lot of credit for just making the juggle a little bit more manageable. Let's see. Did you grow up in the city and state that you currently live in? And if not, how did you wind up there? Yeah, I grew up in New York. I was born in New York. Okay. Let's see. How's the new place? Thank you for asking. Oh, I just realized my nails were kind of out of camera shot. Sorry about that. The new place is great. So for those of you who may have missed it, we moved to a new apartment just about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and it's got more space, and we're really loving it. The last apartment we were there for over 10 years, and the kids kind of like overtook it. And I'm really, really anti-clutter. I'm really into like clean white spaces. So now I'm being vigilant about keeping our new place really as minimalist and clean as possible, because for me, white space is very relaxing. Seeing lots of things, even if it's not messy, just seeing lots of things in general make me kind of stressed, feel overwhelmed. I don't know. So I like to keep things tight and tidy. So the last place was definitely a bit of a headache for me, and now I'm feeling a lot more relaxed. So thank you for asking. Are you a Korean living in New York? Yes, I am. Who's your favorite Korean actor? I don't mean to disappoint you, but I don't actually have an answer to that question. I stopped watching Korean dramas probably in my later years in college, because Korean dramas, if you guys don't know, Korean dramas are so good. They're too good. So you'll just get sucked in and wrapped up, and you'll have to watch till the very end, and they go on and on and on because they're usually a series of them. And your life will be consumed. So I have given up many, many hours of my life watching Korean dramas when I was younger, and I just went cold turkey over the last couple of decades. I am not up to speed on who's who in the Korean Hollywood scene, so I don't have a favorite actor. And even if I named one, he's probably, or she's probably not working anymore or retired, because that's how long it's been. Next question. How many helpers do you have? I'm not sure what that means. If you mean my little helpers, my kids. I've got 2 kids, because sometimes I call them my little helpers as they try to assist me in making my YouTube videos. If you mean helpers around the house, I don't have any helpers. My kids are a little bit older now. They're in school. They're not babies, so I don't have a nanny or anything like that. I did have a wonderful, lovely nanny for a number of years when both of my kids were in diapers and I was working full-time and, doing business travel and all of that. But for now, it's just us, and it's great. Do you have a helper? If none, how do you manage your kids in the family? I think I just answered that. What has it been like living in an apartment with kids in New York during COVID? Thank you for asking that. That's such a thoughtful question. It has actually been not so bad. Not to sugarcoat, but we live in a building and by the way, we moved within the same building, so we've been in the building for over a decade now. Same neighborhood, everything. We live in a building that is just really well run. We've got an outdoor space. We've got a courtyard, as well as a playground for all of the residents' children. And we are 1 block from Central Park. So even during the sort of toughest times the last few months, I was able to take the kids out. We were able to get fresh air, obviously following safety protocols and all of that, but we went to Central Park pretty much every single day if the weather permitted it. So I'm really big on physical movement and fresh air and all of that, especially for growing bodies. So I wasn't the mom that was keeping them all contained inside. In fact, I don't think there was any consecutive 48-hour period where we didn't go out, even if it was for a quick walk, 15 minutes. So it has not been bad. I know that it's been a lot worse for some people out there, so I hope everyone's doing okay. Next question. How did you and your husband meet? Oh, we met in college. He was a senior, I was a sophomore. And yeah, we were college sweethearts. Right before he graduated, we met. So we had a long distance relationship for a number of years. We actually dated for 6 years before getting married. He proposed on our 5-year wedding, not wedding, 5-year dating anniversary. And then we got married a year later. So yeah. How do you deal with jealousy, especially with your friends? Oh, that is a tricky one. I'll be honest, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of room for jealousy between friends. I feel like maybe I just have very low tolerance with that. I feel like true, genuine friendships require you to be happy for one another. I feel like that's the natural way, you know? If something great happens, you just celebrate together. Everyone's win is a little bit different, happens at different times, and you all just kind of bask in the joy of that together. That's really how I feel. Now, I will caveat that by saying if a particular friend is going through something difficult or going through a tough stage, I will try to be extra sensitive, and I'm not going to, you know, rub in all the great stuff that's happening in my life when he or she is struggling with their own life, right? You just want to be respectful and have that sensitivity. I'll give you an example. So a number of years ago, I had a couple of friends who were struggling with fertility, and they were really, you know, having a hard time because they wanted to get pregnant. They wanted to have babies. And by then I had already had both of my children. So I was very cautious and sensitive about not talking about like the joys of motherhood and all of that in front of them. I would kind of wait until they brought up the topic, and not that I hid my happiness, but I didn't emphasize it, if that makes any sense, because that's the other part of being friends. You know, you just have to be thoughtful of the other person's feelings. But if someone is consistently like competing with you or jealous of you, I do think that that could possibly be a toxic relationship. Maybe that person is way too insecure or really unhappy with their life, and they need to probably stop and kind of reevaluate how they're treating people in their lives. Next question. Okay. What are some of your favorite things? This question I was kind of stumped by because I wasn't sure if it meant like in my handbag collection or anything, like any material thing. So I'll just answer it very broadly. Things, right? My favorite things. Aside from handbags and jewelry, I love jewelry. I really love jewelry. Jewelry, I always say jewelry is my first love before I got into handbags. I was into jewelry as a kid. My dad got me a name ring when I was 12 or 13, and that was it for me. Like after that, it was all about jewelry. I love plants. I've recently got into plants over the last couple of years, so I have beautiful, beautiful plants all over our apartment that I adore. They really bring me like calm and peace. I love nail polish, as you can see. I really love, I know this is not a thing, but I really enjoy YouTube. I enjoy this creative outlet. I enjoy this community. I enjoy this sort of interaction. It's kind of a break from real life. So I'm moving on to my second coat. What else? I don't know. I mean, these are not things, but I love travel and food. So I don't know. Hopefully I answered that question okay. If you owned a car, what would it be? Yeah, so we don't own a car. My husband and I, we just love our legs. So we like walking. We like using our legs. He's a biker and I'm a walker. So even if it takes me like half an hour to an hour to get somewhere, if it's a really beautiful day out, I will walk. But if someone was like gifting us a free car, I would probably want a Tesla, so we could use the self-driving option. Yes, that would be nice. If not, I'm really an SUV girl. My very first car when I was 17 was an SUV. I like big cars, so probably a Range Rover. Yeah, something big. I don't like dinky cars. Okay, and then two more questions in the sort of like personal category, and then I'll move on to YouTube and then finance. So can you talk about your views on minimalism? Yeah, I've touched on this here and there in some previous videos, and also on my Instagram, I post about it. I'm not a minimalist, clearly, but I do call myself an aspiring minimalist because I do respect the principles of minimalism and really only, filling your life with the things that either add something to your life or really bring joy and value. I am not a hoarder. Like I said, I like things kind of like clean, empty, tidy, like a lot of white space. So when it comes to luxury shopping, I know it's very contradictory, but I do try to apply the principles of minimalism in that I will really only try to purchase, let's say, a luxury handbag if I think it adds something, different to my collection, or if it really brings me a huge smile on my face every time I see it and use it. So I guess that's how it works for me. And then when something's really not working for me, I try very quickly to get rid of it, sell it, let it go, donate it, give it away, what have you. I don't want to just hang on to things for the sake of hanging on to things. So hopefully that makes sense. And the last question in this category is, can you give any career advice? That's pretty broad, but without knowing you and what industry you're in or what your career goals are, I would say probably the number one piece of advice I would give, especially to women. I know that a lot of women watch my channel. I think it's like over 90% of my audience. I would say whatever you're doing in your career, make sure that you are negotiating for yourself. There is a ton of research out there that shows men negotiate far more often for themselves than women do, which then ultimately means that we wind up with less pay, lesser titles, less frequent promotions, etc., etc., etc. And because I work in this field in human resources, I'm just really, really adamant about everyone, but in particular women, advocating for themselves and negotiating. I will say that 9 times out of 10, when someone asks for more money at the offer stage, companies will give it, because by then you've already went through the entire interview process. They've made the painstaking decision to hire you over whatever 5, 10 other people that they considered. They're not going to want to lose you as a candidate. Again, 9 times out of 10, not always, but they won't lose you as a candidate for a mere, $5,000, $10,000 gap difference in salary, right? So ask for what you want, ask for higher than you want. The worst thing that can happen is that they say no, and then it's still up to you to decide if you want to accept it. Again, this is after the offer stage. The same goes if you are already employed and you're looking for a promotion or a different opportunity. Always ask, always be prepared with, the facts, and make a compelling case. I know it's a tricky time right now with unemployment, so you want to be careful and sensitive. You don't want to be too bold. But in general, I think that women do hold back a bit too much. So I'd say go for it. Okay, so that was it for the personal category, and my nails are now done. I've got double coats of this Berry Naughty color. And here's some scraps of dried nail polish, and then I'll put the top coat. So moving on, I guess I'll do the YouTube questions next. I'm intrigued with your name. It sounds like you were a ramp model at some point. Why did you choose your name? No, I was never any kind of model ever in my life, but my channel name is Hello Catwalk City, right? And Catwalk has been my nickname since I was a teenager. So long story short, when I was in high school, some of the boys in my grade who I was friends with, they said that I walked like I was walking the catwalk, like a model. I guess it was a compliment, but I don't know. I took it as like a funny thing. I think back then I was a very self-assured, well-composed, chin up kind of like walker. Now, fast forward where I am in my life today, I've got 2 kids. I've popped out 2 humans out of my belly. I'm sure my posture is not as good and I don't walk the same way, but that nickname has stuck with me, and I have very fond memories of my high school days and my friends. So I thought I'd stick that in there somewhere. Plus, I live in New York City, so I thought Hello City, Hello Catwalk City, and that's kind of how my name came to be. How do you save? Oh no, that was a finance question. Let me go back to that later. Why do you decide to stay hidden behind the camera? I don't feel like I'm hiding behind the camera. I just feel like I'm very intentional about the content that I put out. I want the content to be valuable and informational to you guys and helpful and also like interesting. And when I'm talking about a handbag, let's say, I don't think you need to see my face. I think you need to see like the bag, the item, and all the nooks and crannies of the bag. And that's what I would want to see. So I don't know that I'm hiding. I'm also not just I'm not keen on putting my face on camera just because that wasn't the point of me starting a YouTube channel. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Next question, will you ever share your face on IG or YouTube? I have actually shared my face a number of times on IG. I will sometimes pop on my IG stories and post my face. Yes. So it's funny because a bunch of you would see and then you would DM me and be like, oh, is that you? Now I know what you look like. Wow. So yes, I do that. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's the same name as my channel here. You may want to pop over if you're really curious, but I just do it on IG stories because I don't want a permanent photo of my face on my feed. I'm also really into like privacy, and I know there are a lot of creeps out there. So that's just my personal preference. As for YouTube, I have no plans of showing my face on camera, but never say never. Let's see, next question. I watched your channel grow so quickly. What's the secret? Thank you for saying that. I do also feel like my channel grew pretty quickly, and I have always been just like in awe and shocked and super grateful. I don't know what the secret is. Some people have reached out to me personally and asked me like, hey, can you give me some tips? And basically what I say is, this is what I did. I use my camera, my phone. This is my iPhone 7 Plus camera. I don't even have a fancy camera or anything. My husband gave me a tripod and a mic to hook up to it. I took a picture of the setup. It's super simplistic. I put it on my IG if you want to go see. Nothing fancy at all. I can't deal with like tech. So I feel like keep it simple. You don't need all the gadgets. I don't use any special lighting. I just sit by my window so the sunlight comes through. But my advice would be to put out content regularly. I've been putting out content probably twice a week ever since I started, which was a little less than a year ago. So yeah, and the rest is just like, I guess, talking about stuff that people want to know or want to see. I try to consider like, what would I want to know about this bag, or what type of comparison would be helpful, to other luxury handbag enthusiasts. Yeah, I guess just stay you, stay genuine. People will be able to tell if you're doing this for, ulterior motives, or if you're just doing this to connect and have fun. I've never done anything like paid or any kind of advertising or anything like that to grow my channel, if anyone's wondering. I wouldn't even know how to do that, frankly, because I'm not a tech savvy person. So I've just grown organically, and I'm just really grateful. I have done a number of giveaways. I think that has attracted some people, but I think that my true subscribers stick around not for the giveaways, but for the content. So hopefully that helps. And then how do you plan your content, and also how do you keep motivated? I don't really plan my content. I am kind of like constantly daydreaming of, what next video should I do? Or sometimes I get requests. I do plan in that I try to spread out my content. So one thing you guys might not know is that I often film like back to back to back, like 2 or 3 or even 4 videos sometimes in one day, because I don't have the luxury to say like on any given day, I think I'll film today. I really have to do it on my days off. And then I will schedule it like on a kind of like a calendar. I will schedule the videos. Like if I have, let's say 5 to go out, I'll just schedule them to be like 4 or 5 days apart, something like that. And so that it's kind of like even. And then that helps me to kind of give it a rest as well. So for a couple of weeks, I might do no filming at all and just kind of decompress and answer your comments or questions and answer your DMs. And that's kind of how I manage it. In terms of how I stay motivated, I said before that I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I just keep busy all the time. I think just, things that sort of fuel my soul. I read a lot. I listen to music. I am a Christian, and I think that my faith really does fuel me and keeps me kind of going, keeps me grounded. My family, of course. So yeah. Next question. one of the reasons I think your YouTube channel is so successful is I believe your voice and intonation. Did you consciously train yourself to have a clear and pleasant way of speaking, for example, in relevance to your career? Or was it something you naturally grew up with? First of all, thank you so much for saying that. As someone who grew up as a super shy kid and was always petrified to do any kind of public speaking until I got older, that really means a lot to me. I have not done anything specifically like formally to train my voice. I think that my voice really sounds better on YouTube because of the mic. Like it makes my voice sound super like crisp and clear. So I think the mic makes a big difference. I mean, I sound like this in real life, but I think I sound better on YouTube. And then my career, I do interview a lot of people, and I do have to make presentations, and I do have to, I'm in meetings a lot. So I think over the years, it has kind of like honed my confidence. And this is something that anyone can do because, like I said, I was so shy and so timid. And to think I have a YouTube channel now where I blab and blab all day, it's kind of funny. It's ironic. Okay, so let's move on to the next and last category of questions, which is related to finance and saving and investing while my nails dry. So let me give you a close-up. See, I've got a little bit of nail polish. I'll clean that up. Okay, how do you save for luxury items? So I have a bit of an unconventional answer to this. I don't actually save to shop. I save for myself first, and whatever's left over is what I use to shop for like unnecessary luxury items. So what that means is, let's say I get paid an X amount. There's a specific percentage that I set aside to automatically be withdrawn every month that goes into my personal savings account. This is in addition to my retirement account. For my 401k, my company withdraws a certain percentage as well. That's separate. And that is also separate from the savings I put away for our kids. And there are 529 plans in case they decide to go to college and all of that. We need to have some money set aside for their higher education. But there is a specific percentage that I put aside. And it's pretty aggressive, I'll admit. I have always been very aggressive with my saving. It's just kind of my personality. That goes into my savings. And then whatever is left over after that, I'll use for the necessities, bills, ongoing expenses that are just unavoidable. And then the remainder is what I use to do, frivolous luxury shopping. So hopefully that makes sense. How do you budget for bags? Okay, so I am very, very sensitive about the word budget, and this could be very particular to me, but I do not like the word budget at all. In fact, I hate it. To me, budget is equivalent to the word diet. It's very restrictive, it's very limiting, and it's kind of a downer. Like, you can't have this, you shouldn't have that. So if you're on a diet, you're probably like, oh, I can't have ice cream today, or I can't have this today. Same thing with a budget. It's like, oh, I can't buy this because it doesn't fit into my budget. This is why, like I said earlier, I'm much more motivated to focus on a savings plan, because once you know you're saving a good amount and you've got a healthy nest egg, then whatever's left over is game for whatever you want. And then you can decide, maybe I'll buy something today, or maybe I'll wait until I have more buffer next month and I'll buy it then. But it's not as restrictive. It's actually really liberating. So if you are on a budget now, of course, if you are in a situation where you're financially tight and you're struggling to either make ends meet, or you've got a lot of debt, or what have you, then of course you need to be super, super, super strict and disciplined with yourself, and maybe putting yourself on a budget is the way to go. I don't know. But if you are in a more comfortable financial position in your life, then I would encourage you to try experimenting the savings plan approach, and even the language of being a saver versus a budgeter, and see how that feels for you. Because I do think there's a huge psychological shift that occurs. Okay, what were your financial goals before buying luxury goods? I had mentioned earlier in some other videos that I took a really long break in my luxury shopping, probably like a 10-year break or so. And that, when I look back and I reflect on that time was basically when I was becoming like a woman and a married woman, and transitioning to become a mother and have kids. And so there was like a decade or so, maybe a little longer, where I just appreciated the few items that I had. And then the only new items that I bought were kind of like mid-tier items, like Tory Burch type, that was, you know, durable, nice quality, but not like thousands and thousands of dollars, because that was a life stage that I was in. So this is kind of a long-winded way of saying, like, it's been a journey for me. I'm now in a place where my husband and I both have been debt-free for over a decade. We have you know, the savings that we want. We have the nest egg for our kids that we want. We've got real estate. We've, you know, like, we've done some of the more, in my mind, important things, and we've taken care of our life priorities. We've taken care of what we need to with our family. I don't know. I just feel like now I have given myself the permission to kind of indulge, as you can tell. So yeah, that would be my long-winded answer. And then 2 more questions in this category. So this person asks, what do you spend your money on versus don't, such as like makeup, eating out, etc. As you can see, I am spending my money on luxury handbags and accessories these days, although I'm really reaching that tip where I feel like I'm very content and probably will slow down very dramatically with my luxury shopping. Things that I don't spend my money on, I don't spend my money on housewares, like house decor type stuff, because I like things very simple. I also don't spend money on coffee because I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm more of a tea drinker. I don't spend money on soda. I haven't had soda in decades. What else? I don't spend money on like memberships because I know I am very temperamental and moody. So I know that if I hook myself onto a membership or a subscription, I usually wind up like not using it or regretting it. So I probably stay away from those. I do spend a lot of money, I will say, on travel. My husband and I are both travel enthusiasts, and we try not to cut corners there because we really like to have like wonderful travel experiences and make memories with our kids. Definitely spend a lot on food. I am not good in the kitchen, and I have really no passion for being in the kitchen. So I'll make very simple, healthy meals for the kids. But for the most part, my husband and I indulge in eating out, ordering in, that sort of thing. And luckily, being in Manhattan, we have a lot of options. Even now, we still have a lot of options. So yeah, food, travel, but I spend my money on plants. But there are a lot of things I don't spend my money on. It's kind of hard for me to think of. What else? Last question. Can you touch on your stock in Lvmh? So Lvmh, for those of you guys who don't know, is the parent company that owns Louis Vuitton, as well as like 80 other luxury brands. And I talked about investing in Lvmh and purchasing shares in their company because it's sort of like I'm paying myself as an investor, because if I buy Louis Vuitton items, which you guys know I do, then, you know, hopefully over time, Louis Vuitton or Lvmh in general will do well. And then as the stock price goes up, it's better for me. It's like back in my pocket. So I did purchase shares in Lvmh last year, and then when there was a pretty significant dip due to all that was going on, I purchased more shares. And my approach to investing in the stock market is usually hold for a long time. I'm a long-term investor. I have been investing in the stock market since my early 20s. And while I am a huge proponent of index fund investing, especially with Vanguard, I do set aside some extra money to like kind of dabble in companies that I really believe in and are passionate about. So Lvmh is one of them. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. I think I answered all of the questions that were in the categories with related to personal background, YouTube, and finance. And then, like I said, part 2 of the Q&A session will be all about luxury shopping. Like, there's questions about what's your holy grail bag, what's one handbag you would keep from your entire collection if you had to get rid of all of them, what's a bag that you would never buy no matter what the hype. Like, so many fun and interesting questions. And I know that's going to take a lot of time, especially if I want to show you eye candy. So like I said, I'll break that up into the next video. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would love for you to do so. Here's a final look of my nails. They're looking pretty good, almost dry. Yes, Okay, thanks so much, guys. Talk to you next time. Bye bye.